Welcome to Movie Lounge. I'm your host, Stephen Walson, and today we're going to talk about two things that I was asked. One earlier this morning, and then one earlier this week. And I'm going to get to the one earlier this week. And I was asked by a friend, what are my favorite movies in each genre? And there's a lot of genres, and I picked the few, and I thought, okay, this would be kind of cool. Go through a list of movies I like of each genre, and I didn't want to go through the top 5 because that would just be a very long list. So I just picked my favorite movie of each genre, and I didn't pick all the genres because there's a lot of genres, and I feel like a lot of movies fit in different genres. So I just went with kind of like the basic ones. So first we have comedy. And comedy, for me, it's really hard. I like humor, but it's hard for me to get into like today's comedy. So I went way back in time, and I picked Blazing Saddles. To me, Blazing Saddles was hilarious growing up, and I just liked the satire and the whole parody of Western. Sci-fi was District 9. To me, sci-fi I love. And when I saw District 9, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I still consider sci-fi as original material as you're going to get to, like, compared to Star Wars and Star Trek. Romance, I'm not a big romance fan, but I have to go with Casablanca. I pretty much love that movie, and I love how it portrays the war and the romance and the love story into that, and the whole love triangle in that. Action would be the whole franchise of Die Hard, minus the last two. So pretty much the original ones. Die Hard to me was kind of like, growing up, I looked up to John McClane like as the man's man. Like, he did the job. Like, he never wanted himself to be in that position, but he always got in that position, and he always took care of business. Drama would be Braveheart. Braveheart is probably my favorite movie of all time, and even though it's not historically accurate in some areas, but it's my favorite performance of Mel Gibson as a director and an actor, and it's all around such a good movie, and it's an emotional ride for me that I enjoy watching. Thriller would be Double Jeopardy. Love that movie. That's all I gotta say about that. Horror, I'm not a big horror fan, but I do enjoy the Friday the 13th, the older ones, not the newer ones. Animated, this one's really hard because there's a lot, but to me, The Incredibles is my favorite animated movie. Like, cannot wait until the sequel comes out. History would be, because the last one is History and then War, and it's interesting because a lot of people will put history with war, and that it works, but for me, history is more of like kind of telling the story of something cool. And to me, it was Black Mass. I saw it a few months ago with Johnny Depp in it, and I loved it. It was probably one of my favorite movies of so far right now, until Star Wars. War. Saving Private Ryan, totally love anything that Spielberg does, and that movie was it's all around really good. If you haven't seen it, the first opening scene is just totally breathtaking, shot really well. And fantasy is Star Wars, and a lot of people think that Star Wars is sci-fi. It's not, it's a fantasy. It's set in a sci-fi time. And that's not saying it's a bad thing, it's just that's how it is. And Star Trek would be more sci-fi. Star Wars is more fantasy because it just deals with a lot of other things. So that is my list of genres, of movies I like in each genre. Now, the second one comes from Aaron Kessler. He writes, what kind of films do you think Hollywood will produce in 10 years from now? Now, this is interesting because it can always change. And usually what the studios do is they have a list of movies, a timeline, it seems like now, of movies they want to do. With Marvel Studios, they have movies all the way up until 2020. No idea what they're doing after that. DC is doing the same thing. it just really depends, because also filmmaking is evolving every year, so you're gonna get new things every year. I think it just depends on what the studio wants to make, and I feel like what studios are leaning more towards is what's the word? Is franchise deals. What movies will become franchises, like the Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Star Wars, anything Marvel, DC, Pixar, whatever they want to do. Like, if a movie's making money, then they'll keep making the movies. Now, here's something interesting. In the U.S., like, most Hollywood is now seeking is international money coming in. They're not really worried about what the U.S., how much North America is making, because that's one section. Like, for example, you have Transformers. Didn't really make much in North America, but made tons of money in China and everywhere else. And they're looking at that as, okay, internationally it's making a ton of money, so we're going to keep making movies because people in other countries are letting us make money. So that's why when people are like, well, why are they making this movie? It sucks. Yes, it sucks. But you have to look at it as a way of looking at it, saying, yes, but look at what it's making over here. It's making money over here, and we have invested time in this movie, and it's making money here. So we're going to go that route. So you can't really get mad at studios for doing that, because they see the outlook of everything, of how they're making the money internationally. So I hope that answers your question. So pretty much what it means is no one really knows for sure what Hollywood will produce in 10 years. It's just evolving, and then also they have timelines of what they want to make. Because right now they have one thing that's working, so they're just going to go with it until it just dies off. So yeah. So that is the 2 questions for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be back Monday. You guys have a good day.